Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. It is time to put together clue 8 of So Sweet. We're getting super close to the end and the anticipation is building and building as always with these puzzle mystery quilts. So let's go ahead and put together clue 8. All right, I have clue packet 8 ready to go. I have my instructions for the large So Sweet puzzle mystery quilt. Hard to believe we're on clue 8 already. And then of course I have my fabric guide. I'm gonna go ahead and open these up and see what's inside. All right, I have 28. I don't think I've ever opened up a puzzle mystery quilt and had 28 of one fabric, but there are 28 small squares of fabric C. We have 18 small squares of fabric F. I have 8 triangles, small triangles of fabric A. I have 4 large triangles of fabric E. And then I have 8 rectangles of fabric B. So not a lot of fabric in diversity, but we have a lot of fabric in piecewise, I guess is the best way to put that. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on the table next to me and we'll go ahead and get started with step number 1. Okay, it says for section 8A, we'll be making 2 of section 8A, and the instructions below tell you how to make both sections at the same time. We're going to start off by joining a triangle of A above a square of F, and we're going to make 2 of these. So pay very close attention. This is going to be one of those clues where we don't just want to get in the groove and start sewing away. We want to pay attention and see how many of each need to be made. So I've pulled out the 2 that I'm going to be using to make this, and I put the rest off to the side. So we're just going to be making 2 of these by combining our F fabric and our A fabric just like this. I'm going to go ahead and take these over to the sewing machines and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. That did not take me long at all. In fact, it didn't even take long enough for my mini iron to heat up all the way, so you might hear it beep here in a second. But we're going to be pressing towards our A fabric. Like I said, it did not take me long at all to do those 2. And at the end of step 1, it says to set it aside. So we are going to set these off to the side, and we're going to move on to step number 2. All right, moving on to step 2, it says to join a triangle of A to a square of C, and we're going to make 4 of these just like this. So we have our A on the left of our square of C. We're going to sew all 4 of these together, and I'll come back when it's time to iron it all out. I don't know, I lost my mind for a second, couldn't think of what I needed to say next, but I'll come back when it's time to press it out. That's normally what I say. All right, I have sewn all 4 of those together, and I'm pressing again towards my A fabric. So we're going to have 4 clues that look just like that. And now let's move on to step number 3, because it's telling us to set these aside. And when it says to set them aside, it actually says to set aside 2. So I'm taking 2 of these and setting them off to the side, and we are left with, of course, our 2. So I've taken 2, set them aside. Now I can move on to step number 3. Okay, moving on to step number 3, it says to join a triangle of A above step 2 unit, and we're going to make 2. So all we're going to do is just add on our A fabric onto step 2, what we just did. So we're going to create a larger half square triangle using this these 3 pieces together. I'm going to go ahead and sew these together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I've done that, and I'm pressing towards my A fabric like it says to do so in the instructions. All right, so there we go. We've completed step 3. We've made 2 of those. Let's move on to step 4. Okay, moving on to step number 4, it says to join a large triangle of E to step 3. And we're going to make 2 of these. So we're finishing out that half square triangle by adding that larger triangle of E fabric. And yeah, it should look something like this when we're all done. I'm going to go ahead and sew this up, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I have finished that. We're going to go ahead and press towards our E fabric. Remember, for half square triangles, it's easiest to go up and then over to help with warping. There we go, and now we have 2 that look like this. We're actually putting the E down in the lower right side So it looks like this. That's going to finish for step 3. Let's take a look at step 4. And when I say for step 4, what I really meant was step 5. We just finished step 4, and now we're moving on to step 5. All right, moving on to step 5. It's always interesting to see how Cotton Cuts and Sheila kind of builds the clues out. I see what it's going to end up looking like, and it's always interesting kind of seeing it come together, and for the whole quilt in general. But anyways, moving on. For step 5, it says to join a step 1 unit to the left of a step 4 unit, and we're going to make 2 of these. So we're grabbing our step 1 units out of our set aside pile, and we're going to go ahead and add them in just like this. Remember, I say this a lot because there's a lot of bow ties that get formed, but you're looking for that bow tie shape as you're putting this together. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I've sewn that on, and we are pressing out away from the center of our block. So we're pressing towards step number 1. And it looks something like that when we're done. So we're done with our step 5, and now we're going to move on to step 6. For step 6, we're going to again create that bow tie with our unit from, what unit was this? This was step 2. So unit 2 that we just finished above, we're going to go ahead and add that onto the very top so that we have our 2 bow ties in line just like this. It's interesting to me that we have our C fabric. Oh, you know what? I'm going to flip these around. This is how my brain works sometimes. I noticed when I was putting my fabric together that I had like 2 parrot chests or backs or whatever they are, like right next to each other. And just to kind of help with the randomization of everything, I went ahead and flipped those so that way I kind of have, you know, less of the parrot here, full almost parrot here, and vice versa here. So you kind of see how my randomization works. That's what I do. Anyways, that was a lot of information for my specific colorway, but you might notice a similar kind of setup on yours as well. I'm going to go ahead and put these and sew these together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I have finished that, and now we're pressing towards our step 2. So press away from the center of the block again. And this is where I stall for time while I press out my block. There we go. I have completed 2 of those just like this. We have done this type of block before. I know we have. I feel like we have. I would have to go back and look. I took a picture of all my blocks so far to see what they look like, and I would have to go back and look at that picture, but I'm sure we've done this before. All right, moving on to step 7. It might help if I grab the material. Okay, step 7. What we're going to do now is we're going to join a large triangle of E onto step 6. We're going to make 2 of these, and then that will finish section 8A. So we're just going to put them on like that. Basically, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. It's going to look like this when we're all done. I'm going to go ahead and take these over to the sewing machine. I feel a little kooky today, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and take these over to the sewing machine, and I will meet you here, say it with me, when I press it out. Okay, I have sewn all of these together, well, both of them. I've sewn both of them together, and now I'm pressing it out. Remember, we're pressing away from the center of the block. And there we go. That is going to finish our section 8A, clue 8A, whatever you want to label it. I will go ahead and throw a label on it here in just a second. F is in the lower left. There we go. So there is our 2 blocks that look just like this. And again, you're going to label it with either section 8A or clue 8A. I'm going to set these off to the side, and we'll start in on section 8B. Okay, moving on to section 8B, for step number 1, we're going to join a C square to the left and right of an F square. We're going to make 8 of these. So again, don't go hog wild with all of your pieces that remain. We're going to make 8 of these that are the CFC. Looks like we're forming a checkerboard in later steps, so we need to build that checkerboard 1 row at a time. And we're going to do something that looks just like this. I'm going to go ahead and sew all 8 together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I have finished sewing all 8 of those. So now I'm pressing towards my F fabric, which is in the center. So I press towards the center of these 3 pieces, just like that. And I have all 8 put together. I'm going to go ahead and looks like we're setting these aside. Yes, we are going to set these aside, and we're going to move on to step 2. All right, moving on to step 2, it says to join a square of F to the left and right of a C square. We're doing the same, or a square of C, either way. Either way, basically, we're doing the same exact thing in just reverse order so that our C fabric is in the center and our F fabric is on either side. It says to sew 4 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and put all 4 together. I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, it's time to press it out, and of course I press it the wrong way, so I'm having to go back. I had to repress all of them because we want to press them out towards our F fabric away from the center C fabric. So I'm having to kind of get them to go the direction I want them to go because I already pressed them one way and they're like, no, I want to stay this way. All right, so we press them out from the center and we have 4 that are just like this. All right, we're done with that. We're going to go ahead and move on to step number 3. Okay, moving on to step 3, it says to join a step 1 unit above and below a step 2 unit to make the checkerboard here. So again, we're just making a checkerboard. Your F fabric will be around your center C fabric, so it looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and put this together. It says we're making 4 of these in total, so I'm going to go ahead and sew all 4 of these together, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. Okay, I have finished sewing all those together and I'm pressing out the last one here. We're going to press downwards. Doesn't really matter which downwards you want to go with as long as you're going in one direction or the other. There we go, I have done that. So there is all 4 of my clues. Remember that our C fabric is in the 4 corners and the center, and our F fabric fills in those cross spaces like so. I have 4 of those done. Let's move on to step number 4. Okay, moving on to step 4. I know this pink color almost, let me move my mat over. That might help allow you to see what's going on here, but basically all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take my B fabric. On step number 4, it says join a rectangle of B to the left of a step 3 unit, and we're going to make 4 of these in total. So I'm just going to sew that B pink fabric on like so, and I'm going to do that 4 times. Okay, I have sewn on all 4, and now I'm pressing away from my step 3 unit. So we're pushing out away from the center of the block basically, and I have 4 that look like this. Looks like we're going to set these off to the side for just a moment, and we'll move on to step number 5. All right, for our step number 5, all we're going to do is we're going to join a square of C to a rectangle of B, and we're going to make 4 of these. So I'm just going to apply this, wow. My home improvement show, I'm going to go ahead and sew this just like this. We're doing it 4 times, and I'll come back when it's time to press it out. All right, I have finished sewing those together. Normally I start recording when I get to the last one, but I just hit the record button anyways. So there we go. I have all 4 of these sewn together. We're pressing towards our B fabric, so away from the smaller block towards our rectangle block. And there's all 4 done there. We're going to go ahead and move. All right, for step 6, we're going to join what we just did in step 5 and put it on top of step 4. And we're going to make 4 of them. So we're just going to kind of line them up like that so that our C square is in the top left corner, and we're going to make 4 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and make all 4 and press it out. Okay, I have sewn those together and now I'm pressing it out. We're going to be pressing downwards away from what we just sewed on towards the center of our block to create this shape, and I'll put it over here so that way it's a little easier to see. But there we go, we have 4 blocks that look like just like this. We're going to label them either section 8B or clue 8B, whichever one you prefer. But I have mine that look like this, and that's going to do it for this clue. All right, there we go. There are our 2 clues. Remember, this is our section 8A, this is our section 8B, and we are officially done with clue 8, and we're getting super close to the end. Next month, we'll make clue 9.